You're watching the Juice Consumer Direct podcast. I'm Carson Poppenger. I'm here with Jacob Thorpe, our Senior Vice President of Client Services, and we have a special guest today, Michael Aronowitz from VXI Global Solutions, VXI.com. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Welcome. Nice meeting you guys.
Great to have you. I think we met out at the Contact IO show in Denver just a few months ago. So it's a pleasure to have you on as a guest and talk with you about what's going on in contact center today. You have a tremendous amount of experience working for companies like Teleperformance and where you're at today with VXI. You have, thousands and thousands of BPO agents and all across the world, really. And, probably 2 decades working in contact centers. So it's a pleasure to have you here and get to know you more and get some of your insights into what's happening in the market today.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, Michael, tell us a little bit about how you got into this world. I'm sure when you started your career, this is exactly where you thought you would be, as most people in the industry are.
Yeah, nobody grows up and says, I want to be in the contact center world. So for me, it was an interesting journey. I started out in advertising, sales, and marketing. I was working at a company a long time ago called Monster.com. For some of us have been around for a while, which was the online job leader. Mm-hmm. Then I shifted over to eBay, which was, we used to consider ourselves the most successful e-commerce site in the world. And I was at eBay, and in 2008, someone came up to me and talked about a company called the Elephant Group. They were in South Florida. They were doing online, and they were trying to grow their business. At that time, they were selling Dish Network. Mm-hmm. They were selling about $300,000 a month through direct mail. I'm like, direct mail? People do that still? Catalogs are going away. It's the internet. So I came on board as chief marketing officer. And my job was basically to take them out of the contact center world and do everything online. And after about 2 weeks there, I started to realize that, my online conversion is in single digits, but in my contact center, it's 30 or 40%. And my average order is 3 times what it is online. And so as I started to learn the contact center business, I slowly realized that that's your best marketing channel. Stayed in that world for a while, went over to insurance, and then went to Centerfield Media, managed all their contact centers. And in 2019, I went over to Teleperformance, which was the largest outsourcer in the world. And we were in 91 countries, 400 centers. 500,000 agents. And then recently I came over to VXI about 2 years ago, about 45,000 agents in 9 different countries. And so I wound up here stumbling into the contact center world, but I spent the last 20 years in the business, and it's never unexciting. Every day is a new challenge. And especially with technology and AI and where it's going, to me, it's one of the best times to be in the business.
Absolutely. That sounds like sort of how I ended up with what, our specialty in contact center as well. I was working in direct marketing at a company. We had 3 channels. We had email, direct mail, and contact center. And then I started Squeeze with the idea of providing that as a service for companies. And, I was doing some email and some direct mail early on, but I realized that the contact center provided the best yield, the best sales ROI, and it was more measurable and more consistent and more impactful than, email and direct mail. The numbers were just really small, the response rates, and it's easier to do a performance-based business model with contact center than with email or direct mail, which were a lot more expensive from an infrastructure for a smaller yield on the response rates and things. But I think it's important to do all of them. I don't say that you shouldn't do direct mail or email. I think that they're valuable, but that's what forced me to just focus on contact center. It's how we ended up with 500 agents today instead of doing a bunch of email and direct mail.
One of the things that I really like about contact center versus like email and even digital is to me, it feels like there's a lot more in your control with your strategy and with your dialing cadence and your branding and the agent performance and a lot more levers. It seems to me that I feel like I can pull to measure things on a like how many presentations have I had today? How many contacts have I made? How many conversions? How many DQ rates? Some of those things can be hard to find with other marketing channels.
I mean, I think it comes down to, the old adages of people like to buy from people they like and trust.
Yeah.
And, if you want to go online and you want to buy some coffee on Amazon, it's easy. But when you have questions, you want to speak to a human.
Mm-hmm.
And, the contact center world, whether where's my package, I need something, travel, people like people. And so it's not going away. It's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we talk about specific brands, and I think specific brands would be interesting for our audience here. And this isn't necessarily someone that maybe, well, it's not someone that we've worked with, or probably you, but Tesla as a whole, like Elon Musk, we've looked at their whole approach and strategy is, put out a good product and people are just going to buy it. You don't have to sell them on it. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to invest in sales. You don't have to invest in marketing. Their marketing is basically, here's our car, buy it. There's no, here's a promotion, here's a discount, here's an incentive, here's, what can we do to get you into a car today? It's just sort of like, here it is, buy it or not. And, it's for a large part, they've had tremendous amount of success with that. But at the same time, I've heard people go through their sales experience and they say, you know what, like that's great if you just know what you want and you just click through the buttons and they've got what you want and you just buy it. But if you have a question, if you have you want to try it out, you want to go demo it, like they don't necessarily make that an easy path. It's sort of like pushes you into just buying it and trying to make that buying as easy as possible. But, a lot of times people want to kick the tires, right? So.
Yeah, I think there's some purchases, like we work a lot in the financial services space. And as you can imagine, a lot of the products or services that our partners are selling are pretty big deals. It's like you're purchasing a home, you're getting a loan, you're putting solar on your house, or you're redoing your house, you're remodeling, like things that are pretty big expenses.
Big decisions.
And a lot of times the deciding factor in who you go with, it really comes down to, do I trust the person that I'm interacting with? Do I like them and trust that they're giving me the best deal possible? Do I feel understood? And I don't know when that's going to change, because as someone who just went through that whole process, I talked to 5 or 6 different loan officers, different salespeople, and I ended up going with the one that I just trusted and connected with the most. And that's what I did.
Again, like my daughter just went through the same process. And while you may fill your application out online, there's 100 questions you have, and whether it's interest rates or PMI, should I do a 30-year fixed, like all the questions. You want to speak to someone, and humans have empathy. And that's what I love about this business. Like when you look at online conversion rates over the last 20 years, they've been pretty stagnant. Like they go between, X and X, and they never really go above that number. Imagine, 15 or 20 good contact center reps going against someone with just a pure online channel. I'll bet every time that a half a dozen to a dozen of them will beat the online conversion. Because the more they talk to someone, the better they get. They understand the nuances. And we always measure conversion rates. They're at 17, ramped to proficiency. They're at 19, they're at 22, they're at 30. Wow, they hit 33, and now there's an upsell component. And their average order value went from 800 to 1,600. We don't see that in a shopping cart. It's kind of stagnant.
Yep.
So that's why contact centers are going to be around a while.
Yeah, there's an emotional aspect to buying, and you can really, when you're on the phone with someone, you can sort of either peak that emotion or you can sort of suppress that emotion through the way you're talking. And, you see that with agents that are successful and those that struggle. But yeah, effective agents that, can have that conversation and keep that emotion and energy and excitement up can take that person through a transaction, and the customer walks away like excited and happy that they made that transaction. They don't regret it. It makes it a better buying experience. But yeah, and if it's just online, if it's just a website, it's just like click, 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 buy, order. Those are commodities and things like that. But if it comes down to a more involved product or more involved sales process, it's nothing beats a human, right?
Yeah, a good human.
Yeah,
getting the right person, or getting the right person on the phone. I was talking to one of my friends who works with a large mortgage company, and he was just talking about how he's got agents that are receiving the exact same leads. You know, they might get 50 transfers in a month, and their top agents will close 15, 20 of those. And then they have agents that got 90 and closed one or two. And he's like, they're getting the same lead. In fact, and oftentimes the people who are converting lower are getting more leads because they're
Burning them.
Yeah, they're kind of burning through them, churning and burning. He's like, I need to figure out what's going on here, and that's the truth, is getting someone who can represent your brand. That's we're uniquely, Michael, I think you're aware of this. We're uniquely positioned in that way, where we've got 3 centers and they're all in college towns. So our staff is almost entirely in office and almost entirely college educated. Referrals primarily. I think 70% of our hires are referrals. So it's really unique. Mm-hmm. It's not your typical like force. But that's been a real competitive advantage for us, and a differentiator with a lot of the partners that we work with, where they understand the nuances of those conversations. And while what they might lack in like life experience, they've got real like emotional intelligence to be able to handle those calls on the phone and to represent a brand well. And that's been important for us, because oftentimes our partners are not operating with that sort of talent force or with the types of processes that we kind of apply to that force.
Cool.
Yeah. It's interesting to see. So tell us a little bit about your the way that you go about constructing your call centers. You said 400 sites, is that correct?
Back in my TP days, it was over 400 sites.
And now you said
today,
what are you
today
at
we're
with?
about, we have over 40 centers across the globe. The question, if you're going to build a contact center today and you're going to go into that business, there's a couple pointers I would give everybody. And one is, you just brought it up, is your people. Your people are the most important thing in a contact center. And if you don't have good people, you can't have a good base. Where people make the biggest mistake, I think, is that when it comes to leadership, like your contact center leadership today is different than it was 10 years ago, where, as you look at the younger youth of the world, they want to be a director and a VP yesterday.
Yeah. And
so it's really important to have that ramp to next level. So if you're going to start out and open a contact center today, it's people. People, number one. What you said about location is key. What are your snacks going to be? What's going to be in the cafeteria? What are the games going to be? It's going to have a batting cage. It's going to have a foosball table. It's going to have a ping pong table. You can't expect people these days to be on the phone 7.5 hours, take a half-hour break for lunch, and that's it, right? So you got to make it fun. And so when I look at, contact centers today, is there music on the floor? What are on the screens? When you walk in, do you feel the energy? Like, especially in a sales environment, you got to feel the energy. Is it the wall of fame? What's the contest today? What's the contest of the month? Who's the sales leader of the month? Who has the trophy? Who has the balloon? I mean, you want to wake up and come to work. And there's certain companies that do it right, where you wake up and you're excited to come to work. I'm going to compete against my friends. And I know when I win, I'm going to have my $25 Starbucks today, and I'm going to beat you guys. And if I don't win, so what? I'll beat you tomorrow. Batter on the wall, agent of the month. Like, your contact center today has to be people who want to get up and come to work. Because we know work from home, companies now want you in a center. And so first thing I would say, that's what it comes down to, the right profile. And then what AI tools are you using to interview those people to make sure that you put them in the right role at the right time? Inbound sales, completely different than outbound sales. Customer service, completely different than retention. So it's really important when you hire that person and interview them that they know what job they're applying for, what their metrics are going to be early on, and then make sure that they interview with enough people of their manager and who's going to be managing them. Because I've seen this way too often. We hire someone and we tell them it's sales. Well, it's outbound sales, buddy, and you're going to dial $100 to $150 a day. Probably 80% of the people are going to hang up on you. 10% may listen, and you got to make 2 sales a day. Like, Sounds easy, but who could wake up every day and take 100 people hanging up on you and come back and be motivated? Let's find that out early on an inbound campaign. Oh, it's easy. Everybody wants an order, but your conversion rate still maybe 30 or 40%. That means 60% of the people still say no to you.
Mm-hmm.
You may do 30 or 40 calls a day. That's a lot of no's.
Mm-hmm.
Customer service, billing and tech support. My internet's down. People calling up screaming they want their internet right now. We don't think contact center jobs are stressful, but they are. And so that's why we got to really make sure if you're building one today, expanding your business, that people are your greatest asset. Treat them right, hire right, and more importantly, give them the right compensation. That's what I would tell people today.
I think that's great advice, and we've incorporated a lot of those things into our center. We've been doing this for not as long as you or the companies that you've been working with. We go back. We started 2009, so 16 years. But
It's a long time.
Yeah, we've been building our centers to where the environment's really important. We've got to have good leaders that know how to help people win, not just babysit or supervise or manage them. We need leaders that can help them improve their success, and that leader better be more valuable off the phone than on the phone. A lot of times you take a high performer, you make them the manager or something like that. And we've learned a few things about that over the years. As far as the environment, we've got, you walk into our offices, we have music that's going, that's kind of creates a good vibe, positive vibe. We've got murals on the walls that are interesting and fun to look at, like sort of modern art type murals and things like that are fun, like pop art type stuff, and we've got incentive platform that we use that's integrated with their work to where when they accomplish certain things, they get rewarded. They can use that reward to wager and go against gamification with their coworkers.
Yeah, we love that. That stuff's great.
Yeah.
It's so funny hearing, because I think legally the games have to be random, but the conspiracy theories that these agents will come up with about how to game it and win the jackpot, oh, it's the best. It's so funny to hear. I also think that one of the things that is really important that lately I've been thinking a lot about. I started as an agent at one point, and something that I always appreciated was context into what I was doing and how it contributed to the customer and how it contributed to the vision of the company. And that's a very top-down approach, right? We're paid for performance, so we only get paid if our agent creates a sales qualified opportunity. And that means that Carson, who's at the top of the pyramid,
You say pyramid.
Pyramid scheme. Carson, who's at the very, very top of the org chart. Of the org chart. Okay, yeah. That is kind of triangle shaped. I'm just kidding. Carson, his job, everything he does, and I know this is true because I'm in most of his meetings with him, is to help that agent be more effective, and it's to enable that agent to grow and to feel fulfilled and to understand the piece that they're playing in our vision as an organization, which is, for us, it's to create a white glove experience for our customers and the clients that are using us, and that can bleed through in the communication if I'm kind of diluting that message at each org level to where it's relevant, so that agent understands that they're playing a really big piece in the overall vision of what they're doing. And that's funny to think as someone who's delivering, who's doing customer service or outbound calling or inbound calls. But when you can tie the incentives to that vision, it becomes a really powerful thing.
I think the younger generation
spent years in performance sales, right? You only get paid when you close the deal. When you're able to bring someone in, as I call it a PhD, who's poor, hungry, and driven, contact center world is one of the greatest places for it. And an uncapped sales commission. You could wake up every day and no one can tell you what you can make. You make it yourself.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many people whose lives have been changed, who, couldn't make it in certain other parts, but they can sell. And guess what? It's a great stepping stone on an inbound sale. I'm going to move out to outbound. I'm going to do B2B sales, and you continue to get better. And you get that in a contact center, but you only get it when you have good managers and good coaches. Because I've seen way too, many managers, you're having a bad day, close more. No, let's do some coaching. They put the fear into them. If you don't get this number, you're going to be out of here next week. Well, nobody wants it. It goes back to I'm waking up and I'm not feeling good about myself. And so it's our job. It's my job to help people and make them better, to mentor people. I get over the years, I'd go to a contact center and would sit down with the leadership team and, you walk around and you come back, 3 months later and there's new leaders. And I'm so excited. My first time I'm now I'm a team lead. My first time I'm an ops leader. Like, it's great to watch the trajectory of people if you have the right environment. And it's our job in this industry to make it a better place. Nothing frustrates me more when I look at reviews and I see some of the reviews of our industry and I'm like, God, it's so simple. Tell them what they need to do each day. Tell them their metrics. Don't just come in on Tuesday and change their comp plan. Nobody wants their comp plan changed. Give them 2 weeks or explain why it's changing. Make sure that you actually give reachable KPIs. Like, it's not, carrot and stick. If they hit this number, we're going to pay them that. And so that's why I always go back to, there's nothing better than watching someone like you who started out as an agent and works their way up to a trajectory of a leader. And you see them in the industry 3 or 4 years and they're giving back to the people who just starts, and you can see, right? They got that PhD and, oh, wow, you know what? If I do this for 6 months, I could wind up here. Another year, I could wind up here. We give people that type of opportunity across the globe in the contact center world.
Opportunity path. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting too. I feel like sometimes some of these people will surprise you too. I remember there was one kid who I hired. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and the resume was terrible. It's not a good resume. But I'm like, I'm just going to call this kid and see what he thinks. And he came in, and in the interview, he was really sharp. And I'm like, he's just never done a resume before, right? And now this kid is one of our ops managers. He just needed an opportunity, and he's excellent. He's so good. And in person, you could see it. But sometimes it's really fun to see people. When he came in, I would have capped him at a certain level. And then he kind of got promoted, and then I would have capped him at that level, and then he got promoted again, and I'm like, this might be it for him. But every step along the way, he got better and better.
Yeah.
Continues developing.
Sometimes we overthink hiring. I go back a couple of years ago, and we're having trouble hiring to find the right profile. And we took the last 100 hires, and we did who was the most successful. And it was just eye-opening, right? 7 or 8 of our most successful people never worked in a contact center. They worked outside in the Florida heat, knocking doors, outside sales. One guy worked in a car wash. 2 guys were landscapers, but they all had outside knocking on doors. What did they want? A desk and AC.
Yeah.
Couldn't get that opportunity. So, walking around South Florida in July, August, and September, working outside, it's brutal heat. You give that person a cube, a headset, and an opportunity, they knocked it out of the park.
100%.
Right person for the right role.
100%.
Some of the people that failed were in short term. They never did it before. They couldn't, again, do 100 dials a day. Mm-hmm. They had 3 appointments a day. They showed up in the morning. They showed up in the afternoon. They had 3, so going from 3 appointments, they may have been great, but going in front of a dialer and dialing all day. So
they're probably teachable
that's what
too.
we do in this industry.
Those are folks that are teachable. They're willing to learn and say, I don't know the answer. I've never done this before. Teach me, show me. And they're willing to learn and, go with someone more experienced that can say, here's the formula, here's what you do, and just follow these steps. And they just execute it, see success, and then continue to improve the process. That's really
Yeah.
that's who we look for in our hiring as well. We generally don't hire experienced call center agents just because they generally have bad habits and bad expectations and things like that
The
too.
soft skills are what we're looking for. We're looking for emotional intelligence. We're looking for empathy. We're looking
I
for those sorts of things.
We've all
Hustle.
been through this long enough. Like, well, they've worked at these last 4 call centers in the last 6 months or 8 months or 12 months. You think you're not going to be the fifth? Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
oh, they lost that contract or it didn't work out. They changed the hours. Come on,
Yeah.
It's all the
we've all
same.
been there. Yeah.
So Michael, just with your experience and all that you're looking at and seeing and working on with VXI, what do you think are some of the headwinds that we're facing right now in the contact center space? What are some things that we need to be aware of and focused on and
So there's a
consider?
lot of companies out there. We were at Contact.io, and no disrespect to them, but they're selling AI voice, and AI voice can work. It's gonna work, and it's still good for certain companies. But I got a call the other day for a political ad, asking me to donate $100, and before I could even just say no, it went back to the automatic rebuttal for 50. I said no again, and it still kept talking, and I realized this nice young lady is AI generated. And so, to me, one of the biggest challenges is that companies want to move to that direction, but the technology is not there yet for certain parts of the business, like finance. And so, when you sit down with potential customers or customers, they hear about all these great things, but it's not coming from someone who ever built the call center. And there's a lot of AI technologies that are great, and I like to use them. But we know how it works. We know how to do skill-based routing. We know the average handle time of calls. We understand all the different factors of skilling and routing. We understand certain parts of the business, how to affect it. We understand seasonality. And a lot of people selling these parts of the business don't understand it. So that's my biggest challenge when I go up and talk to someone. They're like, we're holding out, we're waiting to see what we can do with this technology. So, getting in front of clients is tough these days because of the AI noise. And we all know that every day you get 10 or 15 emails from someone telling you they got the greatest AI technology in the world and they're going to help things faster, cheaper, and more efficient.
I think
That's one of the challenges I see for us.
Yeah, you hit that on the head there, where a lot of these platforms are being developed by developers and people that are experienced with AI, but they're not coming at it from an experience in the contact center, understanding how to properly present and handle an objection, and rebuttals and things like that in a natural way. One of the problems we've seen with the tech, and we're testing out and developing our own AI platform as well. We have an inbound AI voice right now, and an outbound AI voice that we've been developing, and we're not really deploying that really on a scale right now. It's just sort of something that we're testing with because we know things are heading that way, and we're interested in it, and we want to see where that's going. There are projects that we could handle, but we don't or can't because of the cost, US based center pricing, things like that. The contact rate's lower, the success rate's lower, maybe the pricing of the product is lower. It doesn't make sense to use us for that, but maybe we could handle it with AI. So we are kind of leaning into it from an experimental standpoint. But one of the things that we found with it that's interesting is that any kind of background noise in the audio, the AI gets very confused. The customer speaking, the AI agent will ask a question, the customer starts speaking, and if someone's in the background talking, maybe they're out front and there's a neighbor across the street, it picks up on that voice and then it starts to repeat itself and it gets confused and it has trouble staying on track. And so there's lots of technological problems with AI voice still.
There are. And there's legal considerations.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a robocall. I mean, it's yet to be litigated, and that I guarantee in the next year or two we're going to start hearing about these cases where the early adopters are punished for implementing a solution that wasn't approved.
It was promised that it was
happen.
compliant.
It's yet to be litigated.
Service providers this is compliant, but it's not.
I look at it a different way, and I say, okay, if I'm buying a call transfer for $30 or $60, do I want a human or a bot to answer that call? Like, what's my conversion rate? So when I go back to my marketing, right? There's a cost per acquisition.
Yep.
And I want to do the best I can to lower my cost per acquisition and by my best marketing methodology. So right now, we're in AEP season. I'm buying calls from $30 to $60 transfers. Who's going to close them better for me? So, someone may come back and say, well, I don't want to hire 30 reps for, 3 weeks or 30 days or whatever that is during the season. I'll just go with an AI bot. Who's going to end up at the end, right? And I think the human's going to beat them at the end for now. And so when you start going into this types of business, you have to make sure that there's an ROI. And in the lead gen world that we all know about, like, you get one shot with that lead. If they don't like it, click. That's it.
Yeah.
Spend $60. It's over, right?
Yep.
And so we all have to be careful from the marketing side. So, but again, it's an exciting time. There's a lot of things going on in the industry. So, there's good things going on too.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, like the interaction analytics that you can get today is off the charts.
Yep.
So going from, 100% ingestion where we used to do 2 calls per week per agent, and it's random call. You get 100% injections with readouts and what worked well and what didn't. Did they rebuttal? That part of the technology is booming and making us all better. So there's good parts that I'm seeing with that. Just some of the AI tools, the co-pilots. There's a lot of good technology to help you do things better, faster, and more efficient. That's why it's a great time to be in this business.
I agree.
Absolutely, yeah. We're playing around too, building a call analytics platform called Peel Voice. That's one of our, another software solution we're developing that alongside the AI voice, and it does, call analytics like that, provides sentiment analysis on calls, and can give, insights and information onto the calls that we're handling, as well as our customers' calls that we're transferring to them, and they can understand more about what's happening with their sales agents. And it's super valuable information because you can pivot, you can make changes, you can adjust your script, you can adjust your offer, you can adjust, your training, everything.
It goes back to what you said earlier. The one rep, right, gets 100 leads and sells 30 deals, and the one rep gets 100 leads and sells 5. And they say, oh, I got the bad leads. You ingest 100% of the calls, you can see who's qualified and who's unqualified. So it can help you to go back to that rep or seller and say, these were qualified, you missed it. And look what Michael's doing. He's asking qualifying questions. So, and sometimes we know that in our industry that the good leads sometimes go to the better reps and the bad leads go to the, like, if they don't, it's a round robin, right? We make it up in our head. Oh, they got better leads today. A lead's a lead, right? But when you could listen to the call and give the rep kind of the pointers of what they did wrong and help them. I didn't even realize I said that.
In real time. In real time, too.
Yes.
It's not like one coaching session 3 days later. You can give it to them the day of and say, hey, I just noticed that this happened. I mean, how much more effective are the coaches and the trainers because they have 100%, they have like a statistically significant sample instead of 2 calls that they randomly picked. You really can get a feel for what's happening. It's enabled a whole new level of performance management that we didn't have before.
More objective decision
Absolutely.
making. Yeah.
The other thing that we're doing a lot is training simulators. Like training simulators,
those are awesome.
It to me is going to change the way that this business works, because when you sit in a classroom and we do role play, right? Everybody watch Michael. He's going to role play Carson. What about the 25 Michaels can sit in front of their own little station and do their own role plays?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's to me the simulator part. So you take out the AI voice, but you go back to the simulators, like, and so rather than watching one role play and I get to do one role play a day over 3 days, I can do as many role plays as I want in an hour.
Yeah.
And I can get better and faster and more efficient. So the AI training tools that are out there are changing our industry to help people, again, become better and coachable. Rather than saying, okay, when I get better at 500 calls, why do you need to get better at 500 calls? You can do 500 calls in 2 weeks worth of training of all different types of calls and get better. So I think the simulators are changing the game too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we love that too internally.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us and kind of helping us lay out the landscape of where we're at right now and where we think we'll be as we continue to adopt these awesome technologies. Michael, where can our listeners find you?
You'll find me this year going to LeadsCon. I'll be out there. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. I got a good newsletter. I got content that I put out. I love talking to different people. You can find me at VXI.com. But the best place really to find me is just on LinkedIn. And, I'll put out something almost every week. I got a newsletter. Love interacting with people like you in the industry, and look forward to seeing you guys out in California.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll post your LinkedIn info when we post on LinkedIn. This video will be out on LinkedIn and as well as on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Pods. So yeah, great having you here, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us and having a great conversation here about everything that's going on in a contact center. You've been watching the Juice Consumer Direct podcast. Thanks so much for watching.
If you have questions or comments, send them in to us and we'll make sure we get to them. Thank you.